Good evening. It is December 28th and it is 7 p.m. I'd like to call the Public Safety and General Government Committee meeting of the Common Council to order. This evening we have Councilmember Ayers, we have Councilmember Seed, and we have Councilmember Sutton with us, as well as myself, Jen McMurr. Do we have any people on for public participation?
We do not.
Okay, great. I'm going to then open and close public participation. Um, I just want to take a moment to say, welcome to everybody. I think this is our first official meeting of the
I'm
new
sorry,
council.
Jen. Hold on one second. Diane Laratello did just come in. Give me
No problem. We'll reopen public participation if she has something she wants to say.
Diane, you are unmuted if you'd like to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Diane. Welcome.
Okay, yes, it took a while to roll in with the Zoom
No
connection.
problem.
Hello. First of all, happy holidays to all of you and staff included, of course. The name is Diane Lauricella, 21 Little Fox Lane. Tonight, I just wanted to comment briefly on three things on the menu, so to speak, before the end of the year. The first is I'm very much in favor of the police and the blue plan. It sounds like a terrific plan that I think has happened before, and I think it's great to coordinate with other police departments. Number two, under the fire department, I just had a question, I guess, for the staff, and that is when it comes to disaster debris. I understand there will be two companies, one for collection and the other for disposal and testing or something like that. I wanted to know who's kind of watching the watchers, who would do double check of the disaster debris, because when there's a lot of it, some of this material is a lot more expensive to remove than others. Sometimes, especially the white goods and the household hazardous waste. And I wanted to make sure that we aren't going to be fleeced, so to speak. So I wanted to know who representing Norwalk will be watching or testing, taking tests at times for of some of the disposed materials that could be considered toxic or hazardous. That is in my wheelhouse. Lastly, I just wanted to mention that over the years under personnel and labor, you're going to be discussing the ordinance list. It used to be that there was a time when the Common Council members of what was the Personnel Committee would actually have input and take public input on any of the then ordinance list employees, both praise and suggestions. And it's morphed into something where it almost appears to be an automatic increase of 2.35% along with the labor negotiations. That is my understanding is was not the original intent of the ordinance list, and I know we evolve. I wanted just to know what process has there been for this ordinance list, which includes a lot of our senior members that most of whom do a great job. But the thing is, what process exists or what mechanism for council member input prior to the ordinance list staff getting the 2.35%? In the past, it depends on, of course, who is in the mayor's office. Mr. Esposito pretty much used to just pass it along, and that's why members of the council thought it was important to weigh in because you represent us. So that's who I wanted to know. Who does the checks and balance of the ordinance list? With that, I want to wish you all happy holidays and looking forward to seeing you in the new year.
Thank you so much. You as well. Is there anybody else here for public participation at this time?
No, there is not.
Okay, great. We will go ahead and close public participation then. Before we do the acceptance of the minutes from September's meeting, I just want to welcome everybody. I think this is our first official committee meeting with the new council members. So welcome and thank you for the work that we're going to be doing on this committee. I always have an open door, open phone policy. So please reach out if you need anything or have any questions. And I appreciate all of your time. Number 4 on the agenda is acceptance of the minutes of September 28th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any corrections, deletions, or edits to that? Great. Okay, seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All of those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Any abstentions?
I think,
Oh,
yeah.
accession.
Thank you. Councilmember Seed and Councilmember Sutton abstain. And we did not have a meeting in October and November because of the holidays, so we do not have minutes for that. In terms of new business, we are going to just make a slight adjustment to the agenda this evening and move personnel and labor relations item up on the agenda. So I'll go ahead and read that. Personnel and labor relations, number one, the city is requesting the Common Council's authorization and approval to implement the non-unit personnel benefits and compensation policy, as well as the ordinance salary schedule. This policy codifies the benefits and compensation for ordinance employees in one central policy, as well as allows for the 2.35% increase retroactive to July 1st, 2023. The adjustment to the salary schedule is consistent with the pay rate adjustments received by the city's unionized workforce. There are currently 24 employees covered by the salary schedule, and the increases were allocated in the approved budget for fiscal year 23. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Seed. So tonight we have Ms. Tina Fogel here, who is the head of our HR department, and she is happy to answer any questions that might come up. But Ms. Fogel, would you like to just make any comments on this before we move forward?
Sure. So thank you so much. And thank you for moving me forward. As you can see, I'm in my car and I apologize. My son had an event that I did not know about before that just happened today. So I really appreciate the courtesy,
Okay.
the ability to be flexible. So normally once a year, we would come to you to ask for the 2.35% increase, or the increase based on what the labor agreements. This year, it's a little different, and that we've put together a policy. And what we think is that this really more codifies what benefits the ordinance employees receive. So it makes it a little bit more transparent to the public. So when they're thinking about, oftentimes it's, we follow the NASA contract. But in reality, we don't follow all of the NASA contract. We have some evaluation criteria that are not currently part of the NASA contract. We obviously will be working on negotiations. All 6 of our bargaining agreements will come up will expire in June of 2024. So that's definitely something we'll be looking at. So we wanted to just kind of make it a one-stop shop so that if anyone in the public or anywhere else had questions as to what benefits that an ordinance employee received, that they would be able to go to one document. So we pulled the relevant sections of the NASA contract and put them in one place. In addition to that, we have the appendix, which does include, if approved, the 2.35% increase, which is what the current increase was for July 1 of 2023. And we would ask that it be retroactive. We did in this policy ask that we have the ordinance employees receive an automatic increase on July 1 of each year that coincides with whatever was negotiated and obviously approved by Common Council, just to give some ordinance employees a little bit more comfort in knowing that they may receive a cost of living increase based on what the collective bargaining agreements are also receiving. We also, just to answer the question, so we have started an evaluation process. We've started with the chiefs right now. So we have community development, economic, myself, finance, etc., where we are working with Tom Livingston to set goals and then to measure those goals. And once we have kind of had any tweaks to how we want to, the documentation that we want, that will trickle down and department heads will follow that same evaluation process. So we do have an evaluation process. My understanding, and I've only been with the city since May of 2022, so I don't have a lot of institutional knowledge going back. But my understanding was part of the reason that we came to this committee and then obviously Common Council each year was because there was a bonus pool that was associated with the former policy. And it was based on the performance. Those bonuses were given based on the performances, not necessarily the cost of living or the merit increase that you would indicate that went along with the collective bargaining agreements. It was that bonus pool. We've done away with the bonus pool. I believe that was 2 years ago that it was done away with, and we've removed all language from the policy. So unless anyone has any questions, that's all I have to say. I'm sorry for the rambling.
No, that was great. You're correct. We did do away with that bonus pool, and this is what we put in its place. And I'm so glad to hear that we're being, as transparent as I think possible. And I'm very happy to hear that we are moving forward with the performance reviews. Because that was something we had talked about when we did away with the bonus pool. Ms. Ayers.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Fogel, I would like just to say thank you for bringing this level of clarity and dedication to the evaluation in the HR department of the city. For a very long time, the city kind of ran without mirroring what would happen in corporate America. And sometimes people think that the public administrative side is totally different than the corporate side. I'm of the mindset that they can learn from each other. So the fact that you are implementing what we had passed over a year ago with the merit-based or the evaluations, I would just like to say thank you, thank you, thank you. That was a very big concern of the previous council and this committee to make sure that we were being able to evaluate both good and bad chiefs in executive level positions. And I'm eager and hopeful that they will take their evaluation, as you have stated, and then give it to their subordinates so that there is a clear, I can't talk tonight, I'm so tired, that there is a clear blueprint for people to, be corrected or achieve or all that stuff. So I was just very happy to hear that. And I wanted to unmute just to say congratulations for that.
Thank you.
I also just want to add, because there was a comment about it in terms of public input. I'm not aware of anything that has happened like that in the past. But obviously we've only been here, 2 years. I have, and Tina less time than that. But I do feel very confident that both good and bad, we are able to come to Tina or the chiefs and communicate any concerns or pros about any of the ordinance employees. So I want to encourage, the other new council members to do the same, obviously, if there is ever a time where you feel you need to speak up about something good or bad. Any other questions from the committee members? All right, seeing and hearing none, I'd like to call for the vote. All of those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. All right, that is unanimous. Thank you so much, Ms. Fogel. Good luck to your son this evening.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No
Bye-bye.
problem, anytime. Okay, moving on, we're going to move to the Fire Department Emergency Management Team. Number 1, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements, documents, applications, and amendments as may be necessary with Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, DESPP/DEMHS, for participation in the Emergency Management Grant Program, EMGP, and Regional Homeland Security Planning and Funding activities. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Seed. So with us, we have Michelle DeLuca. And I know that this is something that we had sort of started talking about a while ago, and we had asked for some notes, I think, if I remember correctly, although my memory is fading. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. DeLuca to sort of explain the history behind this and what this actually means for us.
Great, thank you. So every municipality has a blanket resolution between the municipality and DEMIS, which for us is the mothership for emergency management. There's a template that the state provided or provides, and we did review that last year. It was just a lot of very text heavy, very generic language. So what we decided to do was table it, wait till after the election, and then basically I modified the language we've been using since 2013 when Mayor Rilling became mayor, tweaked it a little bit, had it reviewed by Corporation Council, and that's the language that's in front of you. What the blanket resolution does, it just allows for the paperwork to be signed, so grant reimbursement requests, some of the custodial agreements, things that come up with both the emergency management performance grant as well as Homeland Security funding for the region. just to be able to go through that a little bit easier. So we've had a resolution in place since, again, Mayor Rilling was elected. Before that, obviously, it had been in place with Mayor Moshe. And just again, I kind of cleaned up the language a little bit. So it was a little bit more efficient, better worded. We did not use the state template, but again, are using our own, and that's what's in front of you.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions about this? I really appreciate you going through and sort of tailoring this more to us and our needs. Ms. Ayers.
Thank you, Michelle. I do notice the update in the language because it was very hard to read prior. If I'm remembering correctly, and please give me grace because I might not be remembering correctly, but I think in our original conversation, we were going to compare our language or compare our document to surrounding municipalities. Were we able to do that?
So there's a number of municipalities in our region area that actually use the state template. So Fairfield, Westport, Greenwich, I want to say Stamford, Trumbull, and I think there's one other that uses that longer language that we did not like the last time. So they adopt the state language as a whole, which again, just did not flow well. And then other municipalities use their own. I want to say about half the municipalities in the state of Connecticut use the template, and then others either modify what the state provides or just does what we do, and again, creates from scratch.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you for that.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments regarding this item? All right, seeing and hearing none, I'm going to call for the vote. All of those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Thank you. That's unanimous. Number 2 is authorize Mayor Harry W. Rilling to sign mutual benefit and use agreement MBUA forms to utilize the following state of Connecticut contracts as needed in the event of large-scale disaster responses that provide the opportunity for FEMA reimbursement. Disaster debris response and management services, A, approved vendor Ashbrit. B, state of Connecticut contract number noted. Disaster debris monitoring services, C, approved vendor Tetra Tech, and D, state of Connecticut contract number noted. Michelle, is there anything you want to say about this one before we open it up to questions?
Sure. We actually went through this process with you, with this committee and then the Common Council back in February, and it was using the previous contract. The state of Connecticut renewed the contract with both Tetra Tech and Ashbrit, which meant that a new contract number was generated. So as a result, the mutual benefit and use agreement, MBUA, also had to be updated. So that's why it's coming back in front of the group again. Hopefully this will be the last time we see it for a while. With these MBUAs,
Michelle, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I did not move the item, and that's my fault. Can I have somebody move the item, please? Thank you, Mr. Sutton.
So moved.
Continue, Ms. DeLuca. Sorry about that.
No worries. So what both of these MBUAs provide is if we have an emergency that's really bigger than a bread box, so a Sandy level or higher, and at the local level, we need some additional resources for debris removal and debris monitoring. We can then activate these state contracts. It would still be under the authority and responsibility of Public Works. So they're not just coming in, kind of doing their own thing. It's still working with the city. Our guidelines are, again, the sites that we identify, and then all the checks and balances. But it does provide a resource for us if we ever have that level of a disaster and we need some outside resources. So again, Ashbrit does the debris removal portion, and then Tetra Tech would come in with the monitoring. And all of this is very specific with FEMA as far as reimbursement. Again, how debris is collected, sorted, removed, to make sure it follows their guidelines. So we are getting the reimbursement or as much reimbursement as possible in a declared disaster.
That's great. Thank you, Michelle. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that item? You guys are being very efficient tonight. I like it. Okay. Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hands. Thank you. That is unanimous as well. Thank you, Ms. DeLuca. So we're moving on to the police department next. Number 1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Fairfield County Chief of Police Association to be a member of the Fairfield County Mutual Police Assistance Compact, Fairfield County Blue Plan. So can I have somebody move that item, please? Thank you, Mr. Seed. And with us, we have Chief Walsh and we have Deputy Chief Lepore. So I'm going to turn it over to you to go into a little bit more detail about this.
Yes, good evening. Since 2016, the Norwalk Police Department has been a participating member of the Fairfield County Blue Plan. The Fairfield County Blue Plan has been developed to coordinate law enforcement resources responding to any major incident within Fairfield County. The plan is comprehensive in scope, yet easy to deploy when needed. The plan aims to ensure agencies needing assistance receive the level of response necessary to effectively manage an incident within a reasonable time while alleviating the self-dispatching of unnecessary resources. Understanding the importance of having a standardized mutual aid plan, the Fairfield County Chief of Police Association, in conjunction with DEMIS Region 1 and Region 5, have developed this contemporary mutual aid plan. This blue plan is designed to simplify and standardize mutual aid to other municipalities. Public Act 23-81 set guidelines for requests for assistance from other municipality in response to emergencies and requests for reimbursements for expenditures associated therewith. So we've been in this agreement since 2016, but there was a new general act that came out October 1st, which the state wanted all these plans codified by their local governments, and we're doing that in the process. So there hasn't been any significant change, but we're going through the legislative process to bring transparency to this to our local governments on this plan that is seldomly used, but it has been used in the past, and it's a systematic way developed and researched and tested of how we deploy officers to other jurisdictions and how they deploy to our jurisdiction if needed.
Great. Thank you, Chief Walsh. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding this item? And excuse the little voices in the background. I can't seem to get a quiet spot in the house tonight. All right, seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Great, that is unanimous as well. Thank you, Chief Walsh. Number 2 is authorize the purchasing agent, Sharon Connors, to issue a purchase order to Interaction Insight Corporation for the sole source under GSA contract number noted for the purchase and installation of the Phase 2 Eventide Nextlog 740 Phase 2 Motorola P25 AIS integration call recorder system in the amount of $80,258.74 from account number noted. Can somebody please move that item, please? Anybody? Thanks, Mr. Seed. All right, I'm going to turn this back over to
I'm
Walsh. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Ayers.
No, I was saying so move. I can unmute. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Chief Walsh. This is an ongoing project that we've been working on, correct? And so this is just in addition to what we've been doing.
Yeah, Deputy Chief Lepore will handle this action item tonight. But
Perfect.
as you said, it is an extension of the overall capital project that we've been working on for several years on the overhaul of the public safety radio system.
Great. Thank you,
Good
Deputy
evening,
Chief
everybody.
Lepore. Hi.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and happy holidays. Yes, like the chief said, we've been working on our radio upgrade project for 2 years now. And this is phase 2 of the recording system that we have. So the Eventide system it's a public safety recording system. It records all our 911 calls, radio communications, and phone lines that are utilized for public safety communication. The recording of these transmissions assures incident reconstruction, quality assurance, and compliance with CALIA, which is our accreditation standards. The project was planned in 2 phases. The initial phase was in 2001, and that was authorized by the Common Council in April of 2021 for $30,000 and change. The second phase is now due for the cost of $80,000. And this is basically citywide for all emergency 911 operations for citywide ambulance, fire, and police.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding this? All right. Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Thank you. That's also unanimous. Number 3 is authorize the purchasing agent Sharon Connors to issue a purchase order to the sole source and bidder Kirmozo Group LLC for the purchase of FristCert software designed to digitally track signatures and digital records of the state of Connecticut Police Officer Standard Training Council RT50 forms at the rate of $8,310.40 for the first year. 205 users at $41.88 equals $8,585.40, and annual instruction at $225, with anticipated reoccurring costs in the following fiscal year at approximately $6,275.40. Can I have somebody move that item, please? Thank you, Mr. Sutton. All right, I will turn this back over to either Chief Walsh or Deputy Chief Lepore.
Deputy Chief Lepore will handle it tonight.
Great.
I got it. So annually, the police department requires all our sworn officers to attend training for, which is mandatory requirements for our post and to keep up our police certifications. So post, which is the Police Officer Standard and Training Academy, also mandates for CALIA or our accreditation requirements certain classes. So the first cert is basically an electronic computer program. It's the only approved software that digitally tracks all our signatures and the records for the state of Connecticut in our training. The purchase of the program allows the department to submit and digitally track all training records required by post. The transmission from paper forms of record keeping will increase efficiency and compliance assurance that officers are properly trained. And this program is also, you can trace the audit trail for our CALIA and our post standards. So every officer and basically any civilians that work in the police department, so their annual and triannual training will all be tracked now digitally as opposed to the old paper method. So we're coming of in technology here.
I love technology, especially when it works. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Just to expand a little bit,
Yeah.
this was pointed out in the efficiency study 2 years ago, that our training records were kind of archaic, and we were still using like paper sign-on rosters. And this was before Deputy Chief Lepore's onboarding in regards to the whole training agenda. But this is a very efficient, very compliant system. We're going away from paper. The officers have a QR code. And when they attend training, they scan the QR code and they sign in. It's a fantastic system, which will reduce a lot of paper cost.
I love that you bring things back full circle from the efficiency study. I very much appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding this? I think it's a great system, so happy to see it being implemented. All right, seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. That is also unanimous. Number 4, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Matthew Nittely, executive director of the Side by Side Charter School. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. To have the Norwalk Department provide school resource officer program and services. Can I have somebody move that item, please? Thank you, Mr. Seed. I will turn this over to the chiefs again to discuss this.
Yes, this past year, in conjunction with Norwalk Public Schools, we updated all our MOUs that we have with Norwalk Public Schools in regards to the school resource officers, their duties, their responsibilities, and the regulations that they work by within the school system in regards to investigations and arrests and other assistance and services that we do render. So that was updated this past fall. It had been in effect since 2015, so it needed to be updated. And we also supply, I should say, school resource officer services to Side by Side School, and due to the fact that they are a private institution and not part of Norwalk Public Schools, this required an MOU, which has been reviewed by Corporation Counsel, Attorney Callahan, and it is presented here. And it's just an updating and modernization of the terms of our MOU, which is consistent with what we supply in Norwalk Public Schools.
Great. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding this action item? Guys are quiet. All right. I like quiet, but I don't, I'm not encouraging quiet. Please feel free to speak up. All right. Seeing and hearing none, going once, going twice. I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Ms. Ayers? Yep. Okay. It's unanimous. Well, that was very efficient. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a very happy New Year. It's kind of that weird time between Christmas and New Year right now. Can I call for a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Ms. Ayers. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. I don't think anybody will oppose that. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night and
Happy New Year.
Happy
Take
New
care.
Year.
Good night.
everyone.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Stay
Good
safe.
night. Happy New Year.